Hey, what's going on, guys? Crass Businessman here. Today is Wednesday, so we're going to be discussing a current event. So today's quote of the day, I actually have two of them. First quote is, "The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal." And that's Aristotle. And the second quote of the day is, "When has America been great for our people? When has the America ever been great for the North American Indians? America ain't never been great. It's only been great for you damn peckerwoods." And that's from the speaker of today's event, a Native American gentleman. So, how's it going, guys? I came across a news article that I'm sure many of you have seen and heard about. This involves the Native American of the Omaha tribe, Nathan Phillips, who was supposedly a Marine Corps veteran who served in Vietnam. And the news implied and reported that there were a bunch of racist conservative white kids from this Catholic school in Kentucky who were aggressively harassing this gentleman who was peacefully participating in an indigenous people's march. There's several issues that I take with the details of these stories. A lot of this was proven to be completely fabricated. The guy in question was not a veteran at all. But I actually don't even want to discuss the specifics of this event. What's upsetting is the gross hypocrisy embedded within stories like these and the common themes and conclusions of the events that are similar to this. As a society, we've morphed into a who's the enemy culture. Currently, the answer to that question is white people. You know, the claims of systemic racism, white privilege, wage inequality, and a plethora of unsubstantiated claims that run rampant through the news. It's getting so frustrating because, we don't seem to take issue with blaming white people, out of some sort of sense of deserving, I guess. But to blame black people in any respect would be racist. I'm not saying blame black people for anything. But let's look at the definition of racism. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. And the other definition is, more commonly, the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. And see, the problem with blaming all white people is that it's racist, especially if we've already agreed that racism is wrong. To say that it is okay to be racist towards white people is a special pleading fallacy. It's saying that it's okay in this certain respect. And this often leads down a rabbit hole of different discussions, such as, when discussing the past, a common argument is, well, white people owned black people during slavery, and for some reason that means that white people deserve to be punished. And there's a lot of problems with this line of thinking aside from the obvious. I mean, we can all agree for the most part, and this is one of the points I'd like to make, we can all agree for the most part that Hitler was an evil individual. He orchestrated the mass genocide of over 6 million people. A heartless motherfucker for sure. Following this logic, does this mean that Hitler's kids are automatically evil? If that's the case, then you're going to find this next fact interesting. Genghis Khan, who was a warlord of the Mongols, he committed terrible atrocities during his time. He would brutally slaughter anyone he labeled as his enemy, which was pretty much anyone that he just didn't like in any place that he wanted to go. He'd rape their women, murder their children, and in some cases he'd fucking eat them. Another heartless motherfucker for sure. A study in 2003 revealed that up to 16 million men, that's 0.5% of the world's male population, were genetic descendants of Genghis Khan. So does this mean that all of these individuals are evil because it's in their blood, I guess? No, that's fucking ridiculous. And if that were the case, then, everyone would be just a carbon copy of their parents. Statistically, I have a propensity to be more susceptible to alcoholism, as my father and grandfather are both raging alcoholics. But neither me nor my brothers are alcoholics in any stretch of the imagination. We don't even like alcohol. The idea that we're genetically predisposed to repeat the actions of our parents is unfounded, fallacious, and just absolutely ridiculous. It's baseless. Looking at it from another angle, would it make sense to be upset at me if my parents treated your parents badly? Or what about my grandparents? My grandparents treated your grandparents badly. No, it wouldn't make any sense. Because since I can't travel back in time, I can't shoulder any of the responsibility any more than you can. In other words, you can't be held responsible for actions of the past that you weren't even alive for. It wouldn't make any fucking sense. Because you had no say in it. You had nothing to do with it. And with that being said, I want to ask the question, why is there so much hostility, towards white people these days? After demonstrating that no one can be inherently evil, why are we being treated as such? We need to have these conversations because we need to discard all these limiting beliefs that are grounded in nonsense. And this isn't just specific to white people. This is anyone holding these crazy notions and crazy beliefs. You see, you don't fight racism with racism. You fight racism by being a good human being and setting the example for others. If you don't want to be viewed as a thug, stop being a fucking thug. And on the other end of it, make an effort to not only help, but be as open-minded as possible. People shouldn't be labeled as a thug their entire life if they stop being a thug either. Continually do these self-audits. Ask yourself, am I wrongfully accusing someone of being a certain way? I say wrongfully because I think there is a rightful way of judgment that I've discussed in a previous video. A basic example of that is that if someone is notoriously late all the time, demonstrably late, they've earned the label of the late guy. But it should never be a permanent thing. Allow for people to change. But don't pretend that they haven't. It's not going to help anyone in any aspect. And as I've said in many of my other videos, the majority of it comes down to personal responsibility and accountability. The system may not be perfect, but that doesn't mean that it equates to inequality. Sometimes the reason is because you suck. That's it for this video, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Once again, I'm Crass Businessman. Until next time, stay productive.